Hello YouTube, this is Bub's Comics coming at you. I am going to be doing a little project. I'm going to be restoring my Daredevil 1. I didn't pay very much for it, so my goal in this is to get a 0.5 green label from CGC. So that would mean restoring it, but without kind of getting a restoration label. And also I want it to be complete. So that's the idea. I want it to be a complete Daredevil 1. I've already cleaned the cover. I've featured that in another picture. Maybe I'll show that now. I don't know. But basically this book is missing several things. One is that I'm fairly certain that it does have all the parts, but if it doesn't, then I'll be looking into that. It's completely cover detached. You can see there. Now you can see here that at some point this splash page was attached to something else. So, but it's detached as well. You can see the tape marks on that, where it matches up to the page behind it. You can see that. Also tape marks there, so there's something going on there too. And the tape mark follow through. So at some point this splash page was attached to this book. And the tape marks don't really add up to the cover. So the cover looks like it had tape long ways, but those marks don't really add up. You see there's a big mark there, it's all long, and that's short marks. So I think the cover, it may be a married cover to the book, but I think most of the book is original to itself. It's got slightly oxidized staples, so we're going to be taking care of those as well. And then here is a couple of extra pages and advertisements that are in there. And I don't know exactly where they go. I think that they go in the order that this is, but you can see again that the tape marks wrap around this wrap here, which is the final page. So I do believe that at one time the book that was purchased, if you will, was just this, because the tape marks all match up for this, which is the completion of the story, and has all the pages in between. So you can see the centerfold there. So it has all the pages, it has all these wraps are complete. However, the splash page, which was here, is detached. So there's another page that was missing at some time, and I believe it's this one. But then what does this one go to? So I have a bit of an issue here. I feel like we may be missing something along the lines, or there's a duplicate page in here somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I tried really hard to get a copy of this book digitally that had the ads, and I couldn't find one. But a good buddy of mine on YouTube recommended a video that had this is the donor book, and we're going to be taking staples and hopefully a back cover off of, because I don't have a back cover at all. So anyway, another YouTuber recommended that there was actually a YouTube video out there that showed all the pages in their entirety. So kind of a thumb through the book. So that's what we're going to use as a reference. I'm going to go to that now, and I'm going to see what's matching and what's not, and then we'll come back to this and see what the difference is. Alright, see you in a minute. Okay, so here's what we discovered. What we discovered was, by watching the video, is that I did actually have all the parts except for the back cover, which is really good. So that puts me online for a complete copy. What happened here was that this definitely, that cover was never attached to this book. They just don't match up in any way whatsoever. The staples don't match. Nothing about it matches. This is a different cover than book. Okay, so that's definitely going to be married. But married still gets you green, as long as it's complete. So this wrap, you can see, has those same tape marks. So this was connected to this. Anyway, I won't go through the whole book, but if you get down to about here, this is where that extra advertisement page went. And there's actually a broken wrap in here that is attached to the staple on one piece of it, the underpiece, right? But is not attached elsewhere. And there's even still some old sellotape right there. Look at that. Still got that little old piece of tape there from who knows how long ago. It's got no glue left on it because that's all still on the book, right? There's a little piece of tape there. So we're going to remove those as we go through. Now you notice I'm not wearing any gloves or anything like that. And the reason being that after I get the book back completed, I'm going to give it another cleaning. I'm going to give it a cleaning and then also going to give it a pressing after it's all complete. So this is what we're working with now, but we do have all the parts, so that's important there because that wrap's going to have to be taped back over, but I have an idea for that. I'm actually going to tape it long ways or tape it right where the staples are a couple of spots until we put the new staples in. Because these staples are oxidized, and of course they don't go through the cover, so they're going to have to be removed anyway. So if you can see the black on there, so after we remove them, we might as well go ahead and change them out for better ones. So looks like there's a little piece of tape right there. Get that off. This is actually a piece of the cover that came off. So if this happens, there's a little green corner of the cover, so you know where that goes by Daredevil's head. So if it turns out that I'm able to put a piece of tape right there, I will reattach that little piece as well. And here's the final advertisement page. Again, nothing matches. The staples are in the wrong spot, everything. So that's all going to have to be reattached because it'll get graded. If it's all attached, it'll be graded together. But if you send in pieces, they're just going to send it back, you know, as incomplete. And they're not going to, you know, shuffle them in there for you. It's going to be considered. So that's where that little corner goes. So we'll hold on to that for now in that spot, and I probably will put a piece of tape there to reattach that little piece because it's green and it's cool looking. All right. So next, let's take a look at the donor book. Now the donor book, we need the back cover off this donor book. And for a donor, what I did was I researched this back advertisement that I had found was the same back advertisement for Daredevil #1, and I looked for the crappiest copy of that book that I could get. And you say, well, why would you want the crappiest copy? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if the back cover was white like this and the front cover looked like this, it would be ever so much more obvious that they were married. And what I'm kind of going for is that yes, they're going to be married, but maybe they still match. So that's what I'm going for. So I wanted the rattiest copy, so I picked myself up I think this was listed as a 0.5 copy on mycomicshop.com of Strange Tales 121. And the reason that I chose Strange Tales 121 is because it was only $5. And I didn't want my married book back cover to be like 40 or 50 bucks. It's not worth it to me, and that book was probably going to have a nicer back cover. Also, this is not a key. Strange Tales 121. There's nothing special about this book. It's just a book in the run of Strange Tales, and I don't mind, you know, kind of destroying it to get this back cover off. I also, if I so choose, end up with another copy of this same advertisement, which I have a copy of already in here, but it's loose. So if I need that, I have it. So that's pretty cool. So this book has a whole 2 things going for it that are going to be very helpful to me. I may not need that one, but if it turns out to match better or look better with the page quality, then I may go ahead and choose that one. Otherwise, I'll just leave it be. Other than that, this is a 0.5 book, like I said, less than 10 bucks, like 5 something. But even for its grade, it's got pretty good staples. So staples are pretty clean. and they've done their job well. So let's go to the centerfold and take a look at how they look. And the reason I chose this book is because this book is from, I think it was June. Check the indicia. But yeah, it's from June of 1964. So Daredevil is April of 64. So very close in time. They were, and it looked like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't really matter, but it looked like Marvel was using the same back covers, these back cover advertisements, but only one like a month. So one title in the month would have this back cover on it. And this is a very thin and kind of wimpy back cover. It's going to match this one very well. Now, you look at it and you say, well, actually, the front cover looks a little better than that back cover color-wise, but I haven't cleaned this one yet. It'll clean up decent. It'll look very similar to that. And I also wanted something that would have a nice clean break because I don't want to cut it. I want it to look more naturally broken off. So when I remove the staples, it should look nice and similar to this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the staple lineup, and they are almost exact. The top staple is exact, and you can't see it real well there, but the top staple matches up perfectly, and the bottom staple is just a hair below, like less than a millimeter difference. So that should line up pretty nice. We'll want to be making new holes in this anyway to put the staple where we feel like it goes. So that should be pretty nice. And if you put the staple exactly where they go, then you can get knocked for restoration on that. But it's already married, so nobody really cares about that. So let's, again, take a look at this centerfold. See if we can find it here in this mess of a book. Seems like a nice book. All right, so you can see staples have nice crossover. That one I'm not crazy about. I may end up actually keeping the original staple from the other one on this top staple, but this is what I'm looking for. A nice clean crossover staple, because when you put that back in, you notice there's no indentation on the book. None you can readily identify. And if you look at this one, you'll see that there is very little indentation on the book. They cross over pretty nice. So I want to keep that going. Alright, so we're going to remove these staples. First and foremost, we're going to remove the staples. See how that goes. For that, I'm going to use a blade. And we're going to carefully, remember, this is the donor book, so if we damage the wrap, we're not crying, but really no sense in damaging a book unless you have to, right? Okay, we've got our staples removed. There they are. I'm trying to keep them in place that they were when I removed them, so I don't forget what the top one and what the bottom one was, because I do want them to match up with the exterior of the book so that it looks, with this cover piece that's going to be attached, so that it looks just a little bit better. You can see that the interior cover of both are the same advertisements inside and out. So you can see that's an equal advertisement. So that's interesting. So really, if you could find a way to just kind of do that, you'd be in good shape, right? That's not bad. That's a pretty good matchup. Look at that break. Very good. Very good matchup. I'm very pleased with that. Look at how even that is. Back cover, front cover. So the trick will be is how do you fully separate the back from the front of this one and still have it look natural. And I haven't researched this, and maybe there's better ways, but to me, I'm just going to rip them apart carefully. It's already so broken that I'm just going to carefully do that. It's either it'll tell you where it wants to split and rip. But what I really don't want is a full-on broken cut. I don't want to see scissor cuts on the outside of the book. The interior wraps I don't care as much about because those are going to get discarded. They're going to get taped anyway, but look at this. So that's it. I'm going to replace it with this one. And there's our new cover. Looks pretty good. I think that'd be a win. So now let's compare these wraps here. Which one do we like better? Well, this one has a hard cut, like literally a rip, but it looks pretty good. I think I'll go ahead and, it has a little watermark there, but I think I'll go ahead and keep the one that came with the book. For all I know, it actually is from the book. And then we have this other wrap, which we don't have an extra one for. It's unfortunately very hard cut with scissors. So that's going to have to be retaped as well. So that wrap will get taped after I remove the staples for the Daredevil book. That wrap will get taped, and then this wrap will get taped on as well. It's a lot of tape so far, right? So I think this donor book is done. It's got no staples. It's nothing but a set of loose wraps. But I think since this matches up so well, whoever did the marrying before found some good copies to match. So let's not undo good work. And that's going to get married together, and then this is going to get married together. So the next step will be to remove the staples from this book, line them all back up, marry the pages together, and then reinsert the staples. So we've got quite a bit of work ahead of us. So let's get started. This off. Next, we're going to remove these staples. Again, very tedious work. Maybe I'll let you see this one get removed. I'm going reverse on the blade, so the dull side is what I'm working with, not the sharp side. I'm really only using the blade because it's flat enough to get under there without damaging anything. Just using the very tip of it. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm holding the staple down and the page beside it with my hands, with my fingers. See that? I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Hold the staple down and the page down, because you don't need any extra stress on those pages. They've been through enough, wouldn't you say? Now this staple feels pretty strong. This was the better of the two staples. So, and we may end up using the original staples. Why not? You know, I'm going to compare them and take the best staples from either one. Actually, that staple's pretty good. We may use that one, put it there beside the other. They're the same size because they came, you know, they're not technically the same month, but it would be nice if I had the same month staples, but there's no sense in getting that particular about a 0.5 to be. The only thing that I'm trying to get out of this book that it's not giving me naturally, because naturally it's already a green or purple. There's no way to get out of that. But the only thing I'm trying to get out of it that I didn't have when I bought it is complete. Alright, now this one is a little rough. It's got a lot of black, and you can kind of, if you touch the staple, you can feel the oxidation because it'll have kind of a porous feel to it. And the donor staple from the same bottom wrap is smooth. So we're going to use the donor staple on the bottom wrap, and we're going to use the original staple on the top, on the bottom portion. We're going to use the original staple on the top. So all the wraps inside are good until you get to this one. So this one's going to have to be, this wrap is going to have to be married. So, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go, since it's going to get pressed and then slabbed, I think I may go with it's a very wide tape, so I may go with a long ways wrap across the two, marry them together, reattach them to the book, and call that a done day. So there you go, that's the next step. Alright, so we have successfully removed all the staples, and we're about to go wrap by wrap and reconnect. I'm going to do the back cover last, and the reason that I'm going to do that is because I want to make sure that that has an even wrap around the rest of the book when I do it. Now the rest of these I'm going to true up the corners on this side on the outer edge, and that way if there's any gap to the wrap, it's in the middle and the tape will cover it. So here's what I'm going to do. Put it down there like that. Okay. So that makes an even edge there. Make sure the top and bottoms are even as well. Alright, that's pretty even right there. Then we're going to go to the centerfold. Thankfully I already know what it looks like. But that's not it. Alright, let's find the centerfold. Actually, it's this one. And then open them up. And then press there. Flatten them out. And that should be a fairly even wrap all the way across. And we're going to remove everything but what's left in the bottom. Like that. So this, now we have the first wrap that we're going to do. And I'll even it up just a hair. Okay. There's our first wrap. Looks good, looks good. Let's go ahead and get a board. Even it up just a little bit more. Alright. Alright, here's our tape. I'm going to do the inside part first, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely tape kind of the wrap to the board, and then I'm going to pick it up off the board. Let's see, is that still trued up? Yep, that looks good. And that looks good. That's good. Let's take the blade and we're going to cut it free from the board. Remove the extra tape. Okay. Removing this from the board. Alright, now I'm going to turn it over. And the reason I want to do that is because there are some portions of this that are folded. So, and that's one of the reasons why I did the inside first. So that then I can go back over and fold it back over onto the sticky part. Keep it contained there. So there you go. So there's wrap number 1. Alright, marrying this back cover. Put a little crease in there. Also going to just touch test to see if there's any pieces of tape that is hanging out. There isn't. Alright, we're in good shape. And we're going to put the wraps in. Rest of the wraps we kept together. There you go. There's all the wraps of a Daredevil 1 reattached. And we'll do similar to what we had done before. Kind of line all these up at the front end. We definitely don't want it to overhang or anything like that. On a nice clean book. So ultimately, this book is going to be about increasing the presentability and having it be complete. And that's what we want out of this book. We want a well-presenting, complete 0.5. It looks pretty good. Next, we play with the staples. Okay, so next we're going to make a new staples. So the book naturally has a place where it falls together, and we're going to keep that together. So that's probably how it's going to look in the end. So you see that edge there. Doesn't go all the way across. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but we want it to have a natural fold so that when we press it, it's not as much stress on the book. And it'll even out to about there. So, and I'll probably adjust it a little bit as I need to. When that time comes, the roll will be right and I'll have it all matched up for the press. But for the sake of the staples, we want to try and thread the needle as much as we can through its original press break, which is right there. You can kind of see it creased right there. We don't want to interrupt that. We want it to be normal. We also want it to be even at top and bottom. So we want to make sure that's about where it should be. And it is. And now that we know that we have it all lined up right, we're going to take our staples. And these are the staples that I chose. And we don't want them to be replacement staples, so we're going to off-center them a little bit. And the way to get away from them being called replacements is that you can't put them in the same hole. So this should go as staples added, as opposed to staples replaced. And as you know, tape is not considered restoration either. There's a rusty one. I'm trying to find the least rusty, and there's a rusty one. So these are the two new ones. You want to go with staples added. So we're going to off-center these staples a little bit. I'm going to go through the middle here and then up through there. I'm going to take this pin. I'm going to mark the book where I want to put the staples. Okay, we got our pilot holes. Just used a push pin for that. Now when I flip it over, I take my staples, they should match up. that's got it. Alright, let's close her up and see what we have. And I'm just doing these with my hands because I don't want to damage the book by using any tool as leverage. I also don't want to damage the staples, weakening them, so I'm just using my fingers and my nails. I'm kind of doing it very soft. There you go. Staples on the outside. What we'll end up doing is lining this up as much as we can. It's fairly lined up already. Should be. And then rolling to the end. And I'm actually hoping the staples will be a little bit center or to the back, but not up front. That looks pretty good. And there you go. Daredevil 1, married and complete.